Alright, yo, what's going on, all my gamers? All my reaction gamers, chat. Anime ruined me. Now, I wonder what anime she's talking about. I know in the thumbnail that has Attack on Titan. I don't know if she's gonna talk about more than Attack on Titan. I'm gonna be completely honest, chat. I do like Attack on Titan. I don't know how much of a fan I was when it got like into like I don't know how to talk about it. Political? Is that the word? Like suddenly this has to do with like the government and all this stuff, and then I don't know. It's not that I didn't like it. Here's the way that I like to explain it. Is that's not, I didn't come into that anime for a deep story. I just wanted to see a lot of Titans being attacked. But it's not like it was bad. I thought it was really, really good. You know, I even read ahead to spoil, not even spoil it myself, but I read ahead because the final season was like Attack on Titan final season part 1 side A extended edition preview prequel to the real ending, and then it's like, all right, bro, I'm just reading it. The manga just ended. I'm not waiting for this to do like 5 more seasons. I'm just reading it. And I kind of like the ending, right? You know, I know a lot of people don't like the part where I feel like it's probably still fresh. I'm not going to spoil anything. Anyways, let's go ahead.
I did not set out to cry over anime sword-wielding teenagers, but it did happen. 1 minute I'm collecting.
Did I ever cry in Attack on Titan? I don't think so. No, I don't think I ever did.
Pokemon plushies. The next, I'm wearing a brown military jacket and feeling extremely patriotic for a country that doesn't exist. But before I tell you how I got there, let me just say this. When I first discovered anime, it hit me in a way that nothing really else had.
Ooh, Darling
it
in the
was the
Franxx.
First time I'd watched a show that not only didn't kind of skip past some of these heavier emotions, it also didn't even deliver them in the typical way that I had been used to.
Toradora.
It really
I don't know. I can think of the
sat
word.
in them, soaked in them.
I have never watched Anohana, and I'm kind of scared too, because I know it is one of the saddest animes ever.
Uncomfortably at times, and it caused something in me to shift. The characters weren't just cool or funny or exaggerated. They were emotional disasters in the very best way. Screaming, breaking down, trying to hold everything together. Loud, messy, sometimes even ridiculous, but it never felt fake. All their...
You know, so I guess we might as well talk about... Obviously, this is about anime, so we might as well just like talk about my experience in the animes. With like the first animes, obviously, I grew up with Dragon Ball Z, Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon, stuff like that. Stuff we didn't really know was anime at the time, right? Even when things like Fairly Odd Parents made fun of anime, I didn't know it was weird, and I didn't know it was different. Or when some things would make fun of it, like the lip sync, I didn't really notice and didn't know anything about it because, right, this is stuff that I grew up on. It didn't look weird to me. The first anime I set out to watch when I knew it was anime was actually Sword Art Online, right? I watched it on Toonami, like when it first released over here, and bro, I can't lie, I loved it. Now, looking back at it, I know it's not great. Like, it's not the best, but it like, you know what I'm saying? It was just like the first anime I had watched, so I loved it. Like, I watched it every week. Nowadays, if I were to recommend Sword Art Online, I would honestly recommend the abridged version, because the abridged version actually does the show better, which is kind of weird to say. But yeah, I loved it. And then, I'm trying to think. And then from there, that's when I really became a weeb. And then I became a VTuber. Which is weird to say that that's not everyone's, what do you call it? Everyone's route. Not a lot of people actually like anime who are VTubers. Some of them would be like, some of them actually don't. It's kind of surprising.
Their pain, their joy, their hope, it all felt extremely real. It wasn't just entertaining, it was very true. Sometimes brutal, sometimes beautiful, sometimes both in the same 5 seconds. I'm talking extremely complicated trauma and high-stakes drama. And the monologues that would just want to make you hit pause and sit there just to catch your breath. And the animation, whether beautiful, grotesque, or dreamlike, it carried all of it. It made all of the feelings land, and it's some of the most beautiful art that I've ever seen. And with all of this, anime completely changed how I think about storytelling, about characters, about performances, about what draws you in and what keeps you there. I didn't even realize how much of it had shaped what I love, especially in games, until way later. And I didn't know it at the time, but that was when I started falling in love with a different kind of storytelling. The kind that remains with you and then shows up days later when you're just brushing your teeth like, wait, why am I still thinking about that scene? And eventually, that love bled into the games I played too. Don't get me wrong, I need great mechanics and gameplay, but I started paying more attention to all of the gut punches in the more narrative games. The way that a scene is paced, the way a line is delivered, how sometimes silence can even hit harder than dialogue. Anime helped me realize that storytelling is not just about plot, it's about feeling. And once I noticed that, I could not unsee it. It's a huge part of why I care so much about the stories and characters I engage with now. So
I want to say that it really, when I hear people don't like anime, it is kind of a shame. It's not because like, oh, you should like anime. What is wrong with you? You need to like anime. It's just like, I wonder what animes people showed them, because, right? Like if they don't want to read it and then the anime dub is subpar, I can understand that, right? And then it's like, yeah, you're kind of lucked out. But it's like when people are saying things are bad stories, or anime is just for gooners and it's just for weirdos and stuff like that, obviously that means that person just didn't have a good experience with anime, which really sucks. It's like, if you really want like good anime, ask a weeb. And then it's like, you know, there's an anime out there for everyone, I feel like.
Oh yes, this is my anime origin story, because anime didn't just introduce me to cool characters and wild drama, even though yes, it absolutely did. But it showed me what I've always really loved: emotional, impactful storytelling. Let's begin. Like many 90s kids, I was deep in the Pokemon trenches. Cards, VHS tapes, plushies, full Pikachu lifestyle. And then, when it came to what was allowed and what was not allowed, Dragon Ball Z was totally fine. Somehow watching a guy scream in a crater for 10 minutes was considered acceptable viewing, but Sailor Moon, that was a no-go. My mom said that the villains were too scary.
Oh.
Well, Mom, I'm so sorry if this is how you're finding out, but I still watched it. I didn't even know that it was anime at the time. I just knew that it had cute outfits, big feelings, talking cats with beautiful jewelry, and romance. It was magical and theatrical and completely unlike anything else on TV at the time. Flash forward to college. Yes, I know, that is quite the time jump. I had kind of forgotten about Pokemon and Sailor Moon, and life was totally normal. I was totally normal until one day my boyfriend at the time, who's now my husband, said, I know you don't really watch anime, but we should totally watch this show called Attack on Titan. And to say I just watched it is a complete...
That's quite the leap, I'm not gonna lie. I always tell people, hey, sometimes when I talk to people who have like kids or something like that, they're like, yeah, my son watches anime. I'm like, oh, what do they watch? Or something, or they think about like showing them Attack on Titan. I'm like, probably don't do that. I wouldn't do that. But like Attack on Titan is kind of, is it over the top? No, I don't think so. I loved the first season. The first few seasons were really, really good. Once I got to, like I said in the beginning, once I got to the political stuff, I didn't really like. It's not what I was there for, but it was still really good.
Understatement. I suddenly went from having zero thoughts about anime ever to spiraling into emotional chaos. Within 4 episodes, I was pacing around my room, pausing, rewinding, attempting to memorize every ad break lore dump. It was just over for me at that point. Just like that. Up until this point, I truly had never experienced storytelling delivered in this kind of way. It was extremely visceral, heavy. And it wasn't just dramatic, it felt very urgent. And I was instantly obsessed. At this point in time, I hadn't even noticed that anime wasn't quite cool yet. I didn't care. I was too busy spiraling. Shortly after discovering what anime was, I discovered what manga was. And the next thing I know, there I was reading manga in the Barnes & Noble aisle like I was studying some kind of forbidden lore.
Chat, fun fact, if you guys wonder where I got the name Blue Demon Rin, it was actually from having a manga. I tell people this all the time. People wonder where I get the name Blue Demon Rin. Well, I had 2 mangas in my hand because I was trying to make a League of Legends account, and I didn't realize that the name that I was going to pick for my League account was for the Riot account, and then you had to make an actual in-game ID. And I couldn't think of anything, so I had 2 mangas in my hand. Ironically, one of them was an Attack on Titan manga. I had the first one, and the other one was a Blue Exorcist manga. And after not being able to find a name that was open for Attack on Titan, I eventually settled on Blue Demon Rin, and that's who I've been ever since.
Had no table, no chair.
I've never watched Blue Exorcist, though, for legal reasons. I don't know what it is. Yeah. Please don't come after me.
Just me crouched in the graphic novel section like I was decoding prophecy. It had truly felt like I had discovered some kind of secret society. I started watching AMVs and binging lore deep dive.
Dude. Chat, I still to this day watch Dragon Ball Z AMVs. One of my favorite ones is like a Mortal Kombat Broly one. Or a Dragon Ball, I think it's like an all Dragon Ball Z Dragon Ball Z Mortal Kombat one. I watched one at the gym because I was trying to listen to Till I Collapse when I was getting the good pump, when I was hitting the reps, when I was getting the muscles. I listened to a Till I Collapse one that was really good. Dude, AMVs are something special, Chad. I'm so glad, nowadays people do like MMDs, which any kind of like, what do you call it? Animation or music or AMVs or stuff like that. I love watching that stuff, which is kind of one of the big things that I really love about gacha games and gacha community is they're very creative with this stuff. It's really cool.
Dives on YouTube like they were documentaries. At some point, I even walked into Hot Topic with my part-time job money and walked out with the jacket. You know the one, the brown, glorious, cursed Attack on Titan jacket. And I wore it like it was high fashion. Like I had some kind of personal invite from Levi himself. At this point, I've been through all of...
I actually used to have a, what's it called? A pendant. I wore this thing till I lost it. It was a pendant I have for the Scouts. I used to have it all the time. And then, like, I even lost the chain at one point, so I bought a new one just so I can keep wearing it. I eventually lost it, which kind of sucks, but dude, I wore that thing everywhere.
Of our photos like 10 times trying to find a single one of me wearing this jacket, and I can't freaking find it. So you're just gonna have to take my word for it, please.
Sure.
But it was my go-to, I promise. Until one day I was at a coffee shop ordering a drink, and the barista in front of a full line of people just points at my jacket and goes, "Oh hey, isn't that from an anime?" And I just kind of froze because this was the first time I'd ever had
been
to
like,
say
hell
it out
yeah,
loud to a stranger in public with people all around me, and it totally caught me off guard. I said, "Yeah, it's from Attack on Titan," and immediately I felt the ice. The guy behind me, the girl near the pastry case, all silent, confused, judging. I honestly felt like
nowadays you just gotta do it. You just gotta rip it and grip it, because if you guys wonder, I don't wear like traditional anime shirts. I wear gamer subs merch. I should probably just wear regular anime shirts, but like I really like gamer sub shirts, and I wear them a lot. The only other thing I would wear is like, I think I have a few V Shoujo shirts, and then I think a few Guilty Gear shirts. But like most of my wardrobe is like gamer sub stuff.
I just confessed.
So it's kind of anime, kind of not.
Cult, but like a very enthusiastic one with playlists and fan art. And that was my first real indicator that anime was still very much a niche thing in public. The jacket? True. Yeah, it quietly got reassigned to around my house only. But despite the jacket incident, I continued to dive deeper and deeper.
Does she still have the jacket?
Crunchyroll, I was adding every big title I'd ever heard mentioned to my watch list. Tokyo.
I know how people feel about Crunchyroll. I do too. I still pay for it, mostly just because it's like the same thing with Netflix. Like I pay for Netflix so my dad can use it. Like it makes him happy. I might as well just keep paying for it, right?
Ghoul, Fate Stay Night, Maid Sama, Cowboy Bebop, Sword Art Online. Classic. Every show hit totally
not
different.
Not classic in a good way, but classic.
Was questionable, to say the least. I'd go from watching people get decapitated in Akamega Kill to crying over piano scenes in Your Lie in April.
That one was really good.
To quietly sobbing through A Silent Voice. The emotional tone shifts were at times.
You know what's really funny? I actually found the book. Or the manga, because this was a manga before it was released as a movie. I think I found the manga. I read it in like a week, because I think it was only like 2-3 volumes. I found the entirety of A Silent Voice at the library. I think a week or two, or maybe like a month after I finished it, the movie was announced. I watched it. I watched it like day one.
very wild, but somehow it all worked together very weirdly well. But really, I should have known that I was primed for this, because before anime ever got to me, I had no idea that Kingdom Hearts had already paved the way. Going back to my childhood for a quick flashback. In 2005, my parents got me a PS2 Slim for my birthday. And with it, none other than Kingdom Hearts. From the gorgeous title screen
Kingdom
music
Hearts is
to
just such a
blasting
classic.
simple and clean in the first cutscene, I was just sitting on the floor, controller in hand, completely captivated by what I was seeing. The animation, the dreamlike tone, at that point in time, I had not experienced anything like it, and I just kept replaying it. I would restart the game over and over again.
Damn, this is such a nostalgic video, Chad. I'm not gonna lie. It's really starting to hit me.
Again, just to watch the intro. And whenever friends would come over to play, I'd be like, well, hold on, wait, let me just show you this really cool thing real fast. And I would boot up a whole new save file. They didn't always appreciate it, shall I say, but I was totally hooked. And that was probably my first real taste of emotional storytelling in games. But getting back on track, let's talk about some of the first characters I really fell in love with. The ones who maybe hit me at the worst possible time in the best possible way. And the ones I still think about more often than I probably should. The characters that truly unlocked my love for anime and impactful, heart-shaping storytelling. And along the way, I'll just be throwing out some game references that match the vibes.
Sure.
Just in case. Now, one thing about me, I love a good archetype. The soft healer, the angry prodigy, the stoic weapon who absolutely feels too much but pretends otherwise.
Right.
And the best part, these aren't just anime things. They show up in games all the time too. It's like emotional damage has its own genre.
Emotional
and I
damage!
I really love it. Otherwise, you think that I would have learned my lesson
True.
by now. So up first, we're gonna kick off our list with a bit of a gimme. Eren Yeager. The one who really started it all for me. He's angry, impulsive, and reckless, but
Shout out to Bryce Papenbrook.
Just enough righteous fire that you root for him anyway. Watching Eren start to crack under the weight of everything, questioning his purpose, doubting himself, and then doubling down even harder. It felt very raw in a way that I hadn't seen before. And say what you want, but I am an Eren defender till the end. And honestly, once you've defended
did nothing
Eren Yeager,
wrong.
defending Joel from The Last of Us kind of feels like child's play. Edward from Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood.
I love Full Metal Alchemist. Full Metal Alchemist was, man, do I want to switch it out now? For the longest time, it was my favorite standalone anime. And I kind of want to give it to Frieren now, because Frieren was just such an amazing anime. But until then, it was Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. I still remember, I was like, I think we had just moved to where we live now. And I was like, my bed was on the floor because I didn't have a bed frame at the time, and I was just watching stuff on Netflix, and I was like, I wonder what this is. And then I watched the part with the dog part, and man, that broke me. And then it went all downhill from there because I like emotional anime.
My favorite Short King. He's cocky, brilliant, and carrying so much guilt for a child. He's also very fiercely protective. His entire drive, the constant fixing, sacrificing, it always comes back to Al. That sibling bond is really the emotional engine for the entire show. And Edward will hit you right in the feelings, especially if you love characters like Prompto from Final Fantasy 15, the ones who kind of joke their way through pain, but would throw themselves in front of danger without any hesitation. Akame from Akame ga Kill. She's very efficient, quiet, and emotional in all the ways that sneak up on you. She doesn't talk that much, but when she does, it hits you very hard. And her final fight with Esdeath, I don't think I'd ever seen a female character quite like her. She was so beautifully lethal and emotionally unreadable. I've yet to play Nier myself yet. I'm so sorry. But from what I...
Please play it. It usually goes on sale on Steam. Play it. I absolutely recommend this game. I have lost myself to hours and hours on this game. Actually, how many hours do I actually have on this game? Let me see. I could go look at Steam right now. Nier, it's like one, I don't know if it's one of the first games I've played on PC, but I played absolutely all of it. I have like I have so many hours on it. It's like
I do know she reminds me a lot of 2B. Calm,
I want to play it again.
Wait,
I only have 30 hours on it. Wow, I streamed all of that, honestly. I beat it and I was like, all right, let me try to get all the endings now. I kind of want to reinstall it and play it again. I'm not gonna lie.
But somehow still very
I don't have space on my
emotionally
PC though. I would need to get more
Kaori
space.
from Your Lie in April. She's so bright, beautiful, and tragic, and is just one of those
Your Lie in
characters
April
that very gently
really,
destroys
really
you.
good.
And she wasn't just some manic pixie dream girl. She was hurting and then still trying to bring light to everybody else around her. Gave very much Aerith, very much you'll cry, rewatch, and question your mental stability. Terror and Resonance, whole cast.
I've never heard of this one.
This show caught me so off guard. I thought I was just gonna get like a cool, moody thriller, and suddenly I was totally devastated. It's very quiet and beautiful and so heavy in a way.
Ooh, I like the art style. I've never seen it though, but I like this.
Kind of like
I
if
like this art
Inside
style.
or Journey had more dialogue and trauma.
Okay.
Asuna from Sword Art Online. One of my first real favorites. She could have been just the love interest, but she's so much more. Strong-willed, smart, emotionally aware, and very quietly fierce. I loved how she could be terrifying with the sword and then turn around and offer someone gentle encouragement.
You gotta watch this. You gotta watch the abridged version. She's so good in the abridged version. It's so funny.
She kind of reminds me of Sherry from Resident Evil 6. Yes, I know, very different tones, but stay with me. Both very composed, sharp, and kind of even keel under pressure. And she's really been through it, but she doesn't make a huge deal about it. There's such a quiet strength to her that is so steady and likable. By this point, I had realized anime wasn't just good, it was crafted. And I think that's part of what made me fall in love with it all. Anime made space for emotional storytelling in a way that just felt very true and lifelike. It wasn't afraid to sit with very messy, intense stuff. Grief, longing, rage, hope, and really just give it room to breathe. The pacing, the pauses, the way a scene can flip from goofy to gut-wrenching in seconds and still feel totally earned. What really got me, especially kind of earlier on, was the very vast emotional range. The screaming, the crying, the sheer intensity. It was all so exaggerated, but very intentional and authentic. I would go watch Western animation and then anime would just feel so much more mature almost. Like, I don't know, like it was some kind of higher level. Kind of like going from normal cable TV to
I didn't realize she had Judai right here. Look at you.
HBO. At least in years past. They've had some struggles recently. In fact, anime was one of the very first things that got me interested in voice acting. The delivery, the breath work, the emotional
man. Yeah, about the Western, or at least I should just say American voice acting scene, right? As someone who has been covering the Genshin Impact drama. Man, that's a shame.
Cadence of a single line. It all very much blew my mind, and it kind of planted the seed for something that I did not know that I end up pursuing later. And yes, I have seen so many sweet comments about my voice, and it really means more than you guys could ever know.
She has a very calming
voice. I have been
voice.
acting as a hobby for the past 4 years, and no, you haven't really heard me in anything that you would know yet, but hopefully soon. So thank you so much for all of the kind words.
We're gonna have a lot of vacancies in Genshin Impact. If you can, try to find an audition because she would fit Genshin Impact perfectly.
Also,
or Honkai Star Rail. How many in Honkai Star Rail? There's actually still no, because the Enforced crew is voiced. It's like Stellaron Hunters. Maybe more Genshin Impact than Honkai Star Rail.
Bit of a confession. I was totally a sub-only purist when I started out. The raw emotional delivery in Japanese just hit different. But recently, I have found myself loving the dubs. 100 Girlfriends, Solo Leveling. The performances have just been so good. And I have
Alex Lee, we're all going down to Memphis. I guess it really depends on like the crew. Like honestly, I watch dub. I will rewatch an anime in dub at the gym because I hate cardio. Cardio is such a pain in the ass. So what I like to do is I like to watch a dubbed anime because I can't really read it from my phone while I'm on the treadmill. So I will have a dubbed anime. Right now, currently, I'm watching Spy X Family again from the first season, and it just makes I like it. I think it's pretty good, right? A dubbed anime can be very, very serviceable on like the second run, right? But there's also some animes where I kind of want to only watch it, or where I have only watched it in dub, right? Like I've only watched Death Note in dubbed. I've only watched Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood and dubbed. There was a certain time where I only watched Fairy Tail and dubbed, which is probably why I'm a big fan of Todd Haberkorn. I'm trying to think. Obviously, Dragon Ball Z. I started watching, at one point I was watching Yu-Gi-Oh! GX in sub, which I kind of really like. That's why I call him Judai instead of Jaden. I'm trying to think of anything else. And of course, you know, the gacha games. I typically play gacha games in English dub though, just because I like stream them, so it's kind of easier for me to play them and not read.
A whole new appreciation now that I've actually met people in the industry. Matching the timing, the intensity,
I hope it's no one bad.
Making lines feel very emotionally grounded, it is definitely not easy. And English voice actors have to honor the tone and the rhythm of the original.
Man, I sure wish they did that a lot more often.
While still making it seem completely authentic in a totally different language.
I have such a bone to pick with the English voice acting community. I'm not gonna lie.
They've come a long way.
I ain't trying to hold you, chap.
Only been getting better and better.
I ain't gonna lie to you.
So yeah, I did not grow up watching anime, and at some point I kind of fell off again. And it's not because I stopped liking it, but because life had just got in the way. These days I keep up with the bigger ones: Demon Slayer, Jujutsu Kaisen, Mashle, you know. But I haven't really fallen into something in a long time. Lately though, I've been wanting to change that. Not just watching like a filthy casual, but actually getting really back into it. I miss caring way too much about fictional people in a fun way.
God, which one got me really into it? Furion. God, it sounds so weird to say. Furion, and Solo Leveling in a way. I also watched, I'm trying to think of what I've watched recently. I don't think I want to count Guilty Gear Dual Rulers as one of them. I really liked it, but it's because I play the game, so I don't think that would count. Like, I don't know if if someone who doesn't like Guilty Gear would like that anime. It's okay if you don't like the references. If you do, or if you don't play the game, it's kind of okay. If you do play the game, it's above average. You know, I just like watching. I just like watching Soul go Tyrant Rave.
Because anime didn't just kick off a phase, it made me realize the kinds of stories I'm always going to be drawn to.
Yeah.
The ones that are soft and heavy at the same time, the beautifully flawed characters, the emotional gut punches, the quiet moments that hit louder than the hard ones. It's the same feeling that I get from games like Red Dead Redemption 2, Final Fantasy, To the Moon, Celeste, or A Plague Tale, where you're playing along and suddenly a line or a very intricate detail or moment just kind of hits you and you're like, oh, okay, that's probably gonna live in my head forever. But whether it came from a cutscene, a betrayal, a soundtrack, or an episode that you stayed up way too late to watch, please tell me your spiral story. Or I don't know, if there's a show that hits you a little harder than you expected, drop it in the comments because I need to hear your recommendations. What should I start off this next arc watching? I'm very open to spiraling again, so let's build a watch list.
Furion, easy. It especially as someone who it's just like it. Oh, I didn't mean to activate that. It's such a God. I don't know. It's such a emotional roller coaster that really makes you think about life, and it's just so good. I loved it, bro. It just it made me emotional, but at the same time, it had a lot of fun parts, action and stuff like that. I love the OST to it, and I think it's just in my opinion, it's like anime of the decade. I really think so. It's just so perfect. I loved it so much. But chat, let me know what anime you really like, and if you're watching any new ones currently, chat, comment, like, subscribe, and I'll catch you gamers in the next one. Bye.